Look at all these non-Olivers here.
1 hour later.
Here they go. They're all done. And there they go. There's the end. All right, welcome to my collection tour videos. This is gonna be the first part. And the story of why they are out is several reasons. We had a tractor tour that you probably just seen the video for it, and instead of having them go through all the buildings, we decided to just get the ones that were not in the shed here out here. And one of the reasons is they needed to run anyway. Then it was tractor ride guys could just come out here and look and go through the shed. And the third reason is tractor tour video or videos. So I'm going to start with the Oliver 60s. I think I'm going to start with the oldest of the Olivers and go on to through to the newer ones. But I don't know how many parts there's going to be because I don't actually even know how I'm going to separate the videos yet. I'm going to give you some specs on them and the history of where we bought them from and what we did with them and stuff. And the oldest ones we have are 60s. The oldest one is in the barn on steel, and I'll show you that. Okay, so we're going to start with this Oliver 60 right here. This was my first tractor. I bought it in Esterville, Iowa. I actually went for a different 60 in Iowa, and it didn't turn out to be as good as what the picture said. I mean, it had a cracked axle housing, and it was real rusty. And it's like, well, yeah, I can put different axle housing on it. It's like, how the heck do you crack it? Did it freeze? Did it get water and freeze? I don't know. This one wasn't much more, and it was already painted. I did do some other painting on it, like this was wrong and stuff, but I got it to where it's supposed to be. This was yellow. And it's a good runner. I think it was rebuilt at some point. Bought it from Larry Harson. It's a name pretty familiar in the Oliver world. We did ask the Oliver mechanic online and in Oliver Heritage, I believe. This one I would pull stock. I didn't do any modifications to it. Just local tractor pull. I widened it out a little bit because I noticed that the sled, it was a sled that people would get onto. I've showed a video in the past, and I noticed when I was pulling, I'd look back and other people pulling, the tires would kick up dirt and it would get a big mound in the front of the shoe and it would stop the tractors. So I figured, well, if I widen it out a little bit, I can get those tires to make their dirt tracks alongside of the shoe, then I always have it nice and flat there. And it's had pretty good results. This one is a little bit of a unique tractor because it has cast rears. Cast rears on a 60 were only available on the last year, 48, late 48s. And you can see it's real thick. It's probably 2 inches thick, so there's a lot of weight in the back. Because a 60 could come up to like 2,500 pounds. I mean, if you just have pressed steel like this and no weights, yeah, you're looking at 2,500 or so. This one goes right to like the 2,800 mark in the class I'd pull it. I actually had to lighten it up by putting this plate on, and that plate, and that plate. And those are actually original plates, right in the parts book. They're not like made, homemade or anything. This one's got the Ridemaster seat. Later on, Oliver came out with the Ridemasters after the Fleet Lines, and came out with them for the 60s and 70s that you could put on after. So this one, needless to say, is a good puller because it gets all the weight where you need it. The 60s were built between 1940 and 1948. About 120.6 cubic inch gas in these, about 19.5 horsepower. So they're not a high horsepower model by any means. They were the smallest model. And like size wise, a 44, which there's 2 of them over here. 60's probably a little bit bigger size wise than a 44. But a 44 had about 25 horsepower. So 44 actually had more power, but smaller in size. And I know that 60 would outpull the 44 easily. This 60 is just a good puller here. So they came out in 1940 and 1942. So 2 years later, they added the standard 60. 47 added the wide front. So this one's got the wide front. You get them in rubber tires or steel. I do have a steel wheeled model, which I'll show you soon. 1944 brought the equalizer pedal and the 5-speed tranny. So here you can see the equalizer pedal here. What that does is when you push it in the middle, it puts both brakes on. And the 5-speed, unique on this model, the 5-speed actually, I think it was just added by putting a separate thing in the front here. Right here, I believe. Added your 5th speed. Yeah, so your 5th speed, your road speed, was the same in the bottom and the top neutrals. It was the same speed, it wasn't any different. And this also had a belt pulley stop if you had a belt pulley on it. This one here's got a belt pulley. We didn't get this one cleaned up, but and it needs to be finished. 60s were also unique in that they had one of the only Olivers with the steel frame like this. But they were prone to cracking and breaking. There's a lot of 60s you'll see have angle irons welded on and all kinds of stuff, or just welded in general. The front was cast up to here, and then steel from here to here. They had cross members in them, you know, like that. But they're a little weaker, especially if you're gonna cultivate with them, because it's got the holes for cultivators. And yeah, that's probably why, well, the 70s were cast, but that's probably why they went with cast on the fleet lines. What's cool about the 60s is they followed the 70s with the streamline look. The panels were very similar. I think they're different. I know the 70s got a hole like this in one of them. Size wise, I think they're different. Features that carried over to the fleet lines. This being the fleet line here. Your flat platform. So you can see that here. It kind of carried over. You know, whereas the 70 had a big hump in the middle and everything. The slanted dash. It's different, but it's similar in the way it's designed with the gauges. The throttle on the steering column here came out on the 60. Carried over to the fleet lines. So it was actually really influential in the design of the fleet lines. It had the power lift here originally. It'll be like this one. The power lifts are different. In that the 60 has its own style. There's gotta be a 66 here with one. This one's got one, I think. It doesn't. Here you can see that's a different style. Oh, another thing I'm doing with this is I am updating all the serial numbers. We had a list years ago, but tractors changed so much that we got so many, and then some we sold, and we need an updated list of serial numbers and years and everything. So most of the 60s are going to be the narrow fronts. You'll see them with tiptoes. This one's a wide front. That was very rare on these. This was unique on the 60, this bump out. So it's like the same about right here. Well, the frame is the same, and then from here on that way, it's got the bump. What is this though? Is that, how did that work? Is that factory welded on? I don't know. But this front end was the same as the 66, as far as not this part, but like this H1155. I think all of this stuff is from the tie rods down to the hub. Because let's look, H1155. And we got some over here. This is a super. And look, we have H1155. Here's a regular 66. H1155. It almost looks like the tie rods might be a little beefier on this super. Maybe not. I have to measure that. This one's out wider, so it's sticking out more here. But yeah, so you can see features that carried over from the 60s right onto the fleet lines. This one just has to be finished up, and yeah, they got crappy because it was sitting in the barn, hasn't run much. We didn't actually get it running for getting it out here either, because the battery's just so far gone that I can't get a charge in it anymore. But we should run it a little bit more. Yeah, and the fenders were junk on it, or I don't know, maybe it didn't even come with some, but we have some, but we just gotta finish it. Backrest, stuff like that. I think his brother's got new panels for it. Alright, so I'm in the barn here. Here's Oliver's 60 on steel. It's got rubber in the front and steel tiptoes in the back. That's the reason why I bought it. I wanted one with steel. I guess you could say it's a parts tractor, but not really, because I plan on fixing it someday. I have the head redone. So I'm also doing serial numbers. It's a metal hood. 60s and 70s were known to have aluminum hoods because the metals were scarce back then. So here is this a 5-speed or a 6 or a 4-speed? It would be, or the steel is generally a 4, or was it that they'd lock out the 5th speed? This looks like a 5-speed. It's got the spot for the equalizer pedal. Yeah, this is a 5-speed. If you look at the power lift here, it goes out like this on the side. On the 4, I'll show you a 4. It goes in the middle here, where the equalizer pedal is. So this is a 5. It might be locked out. I don't really know for sure. I think you're supposed to lock out the road gear if you got steel wheels. This guy just needs to be fixed up, but that's going to be a project for a different day because there ain't a lot of return on a 60 because you put a couple grand in the engine and that's about all they're worth. So you're pretty much doing it for a hobby and that's about it. Definitely not a money maker. Differences on the 62 is the bell housing here looks similar, but it's pressed steel. It's a stamped steel housing, whereas like a 66 is cast iron. Be a Waukesha in here. So on a 60, you have to find the serial number here. But that poses a problem because if you put a different engine in it, you no longer had the right serial number of the tractor. I'm quite sure that when we did this engine, we took the serial number plate off the old engine and riveted on here. I can see these are rivets that I probably did. And it has a B after the serial number, which I believe means it's a wide front. 62331B, 1948. So these are both 48s. The one on steel in the barn is a 44. Now your serial numbers tell you a lot about them, as well as the parts books. The 4-speed 60s, built between 1940 and 44, starting with serial number 600,001, ended with 609,930, so that'd be the last one built in 1944. 1944 being a mid-year split, then at 609,931, it went to the 5 speeds. And parts books tell you changes too. That's pretty interesting. Okay, let's go look at that parts one. One nice thing about steel plow wheels is they don't go flat. Alright, so here's an Oliver 60 in the barn here. This one contributed to the wide front 60 being runnable. Back in the hard part days, they would run, like on the 70s, they would run these steering arms, these, what you call it, rods. And it would move with, you know, it would have ran in the last several decades. But that would actually help you steer. It'd be like, I believe when you turn the steering wheel, it would engage this and pull the brake and help you turn. I believe that's how it would work. Now here's a 4-speed one. This was in the center. There's no brake equalizer pedal. This was in the middle for the power lift. But I can't give you a serial number on this one because this one is missing its engine. The engine was donated to the wide front, and I think the wide front one, I actually got it with not running. I think the engine had a hole in the block. I think it's got to be around here. I'm gonna look for it. It was bought in a fairly local buy, but Wisconsin, and it was, I think it was some guy's project, and he just decided that he didn't want to deal with it anymore. So we had got it, and now it is what it is. It ain't finished, but when do I ever finish projects? I'd have to check the parts book to determine when they got rid of that steering rod, but I know the newer ones didn't have it. Like this, they don't have it. They eliminated that feature. Maybe it's when the 5-speeds came out, I'm not sure. The 60 on steel here was bought at an auction in Iowa. My dad and I went. Came home with this, and I picked up part 66, and yeah, I guess we just hate to see them go to the scrap man, and or see people part them out. Makes me sick when I see them in the junkyards. This one have the steering rods. I don't know. No, it is not. So that means it's somewhere around 1944. They switched it. This one's a 610-283. So soon after the 5-speed came out. So that's probably when they dropped that steering rods in. Alright, yeah. I'm pretty sure this is the one that was in the wide front. So yeah. Not too easy to fix that without getting a different block. So that's why I robbed it out of that 4-speed one. Alright, so I thought I'd give a little bit of clarity on the Oliver 60s. Since I looked into the parts book. The early ones, earlier than this one, would have a curtain that goes over the radiator, an actual like piece of fabric, and you could raise and lower it, and there would not be a thermostat in that. And a thermostat came about at serial number 607010, which is 1942. So that's when they got rid of the curtain. The curtain would go right in front of the radiator, and then we put a thermostat in the thermostat housing. The steering rods did indeed end when the 5-speed came out, so 44. The 5-speed, the front cover is definitely a dead giveaway. So on the 5-speeds, not only is this here a dead giveaway, the power lift, but then that front cover here was only used on the 5-speeds. That front cover right there. The 4s wouldn't have that. And there's another gear that comes up, and that's only in the 5s. Alright, so on the wide fronts, these frames were the same part number for all of the whole production time. So in the parts book, it says welded onto frame for the plate. This plate right here that holds this is the same as a 60 standard because it's a J part number. And then the frames are the same. So they either would have done that at the dealer if somebody would have requested the wide front, or must be like a factory install on that frame. One option I forgot to mention is the KD, the kerosene distillate. Then what was different on that, obviously, is it burns kerosene. But you'd have a fuel tank here that has a double fuel tank. So you'd have two. You have the main tank, which was the kerosene, and then a little one, I think it was like a gallon or something. You'd start the engine on that, then you'd switch it with a valve over here, and it would switch up on a sediment bowl to the kerosene. The kerosene would use a different thermostat, which I'm going to assume is maybe a hotter one. So different thermostat, manifold, carb, the switch for the fuel. There are other changes like the fuel tank. The head is a different part number, and if you have a KD, it should be stamped on a serial number plate. Okay, so that's going to be about do it for this first video of the tractor tour. I didn't expect it to just be this long and just be on the 60s. The next ones are probably going to be 66s, and I'm not sure if I'm going to move along quicker. or how I'm going to do it, if I'm going to lump all of them together, the 77s and 88s. Not really sure yet. One thing that's taken me a while is I am updating the playlists. So if you look at, let's say you want to see more videos on this tractor, or the 60 up there, or this 66 Industrial, you will be able to go on my playlist. You click on my account name on YouTube and then click on the circle, and then it'll give you ability to see all the videos and any live streams, or and there's a playlist. And each one, I'm gonna make each one its own playlist, so that way you can see all the videos of like this tractor, or you know, whatever. This one there ain't gonna be one, just because I don't have any other videos about it except for this tour video. So, but like that 60, there will be several videos because I plowed with it and all kinds of stuff. I did forget a little part of the story on this one, the one I got from Larry Harson. When we went and get it, I had mentioned that we went to get a different one, and it didn't turn out as good as what they said. So we went a little further and went to Larry Harson's. But it was in winter, and we got caught in a blizzard. And we were just chancing it that he'd be home, and he wasn't home at the time. So what did I do? I think I called him. His phone number, I think, was on the website. We were up there, and he told us to go by his son, which lived next door, and he would help us get the tractor out, and we'd pay him. But he had to actually dig his way to it through the snow and then get it out so we could load it. So that was quite an adventure, and his son was really nice because he brought us in his house and gave us some food. He even offered for us to spend the night. That was my dad and I. So it was very nice people, and probably never forget that experience. That's what gives each tractor memories. Do you like all of our tractors and equipment? If so, you can show me support by hitting that thumbs up or thumbs down if you didn't like it. Leave a comment. Consider subscribing, it's free. YouTube will notify you when I release a new video. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.